Talking with Larvotto Resources, ASX code LRV, market cap around $16 million. We have with us Managing Director Ron Heeks. Ron, welcome to Sydney. Thanks for your time.
Morning, great to be here.
It's a nice day out there, Ron.
Glorious.
Now, for those investors, potential investors who don't know the Larvotto Resources story, can you tell us about
We're a multi-commodity, fairly new listing, only been around for about 18 months. But major project, copper, cobalt, gold around Mount Isa, a big tenure there. Very interesting project in Western Australia, east of Norseman, which is prospective for more things than I think I've ever looked for. But certainly gold, nickel, PGEs, lithium, and recently we've had some great success on rare earths, and a very interesting gold project in North Island, New Zealand.
Let's start by talking about the air project in Western Australia. You said you're kind of sport for choice there. What does it also have in terms of rare earth potential?
The rare earth potential is one that's recently come around. We followed up a geochem anomaly that was generated by Anglo back in the day, about 2008. We put some soil geochemistry over that just to confirm and tighten that up. Came back with 1,000 ppm in soils. Looked interesting, put a couple of lines of air core drilling across that just to see what that meant, and came up with our best hit of 1.2% rare earths in clays, about 12 metres below the surface. So fascinating first effort. Certainly needs a lot more work. Test work underway there at the moment to determine what sort of clays we're looking at and what's the best way to move forward on that. But very, very interesting, and one of the better results, if not the best, arguably, result generated from around that area.
And it's a bit of a multi-commodity project. What else is there, and how do you kind of map out that
amazing
program?
Project. We went there for the nickel. We've got 40 kilometres of the Jimbalana Dyke, which is a known nickel host. It's always been associated with some PGEs, and certainly our neighbours there are having great success on PGE mineralisation. We'd like to think we've got some as well. We've got some interesting zones that we need to drill. We've got lithium potential being directly south and along strike from the Baldania nickel project of Liontown. Always good for gold in that area. And the rare earths. So it's an amazing spread of gold, nickel, copper, PGEs, rare earths and lithium. I've never worked on anything like it.
Sport for choice, as I said. So with lithium, I believe you've got a cornerstone investor there, or potential cornerstone investor. How's that playing out in regards to lithium?
Yeah, really well. We were approached by Waratah out of Canada, who were interested in investing very early stage, and we're talking geochem anomaly stage on the lithium. And that was wonderful to help fund something that wasn't a priority for us when we listed, but certainly moved up the food chain. But we hadn't necessarily allocated sufficient budget to really do that project justice. So for them to come in at such an early stage was excellent. And it was appreciated by everybody, and we're following through on that. We've done the first stage of air core drilling on that to identify where the pegmatites are. Unlike a lot of areas, ours aren't sticking out of the ground. There's a bit of soil cover, so we needed to locate them. And the next phase, now that we've identified 9 different pegmatite zones, is to go and RC drill that and see what's happening below the surface.
And being sport for choice, there's probably risks with that. How do you kind of prioritise what you're looking for?
It's an interesting story. Well, certainly RC drilling of the lithium and a couple of the nickel anomalies, particularly one that could well be associated with PGEs. That's the next phase. RC drilling for the rare earths, not really the go. That's more an air core situation, but we'll wait for the met test work to come back on that before we plan more work there. And hopefully we'll be following up some of the RC with some deeper diamond.
And of course, you touched on gold in New Zealand, your Okuri project, I believe. How's that exploration program?
Look, fascinating project. Very, very interesting. There's been a fair bit of work done in that project before, 10,000 metres of drilling over the years, identified a big broad zone of low-grade gold mineralisation. We're all about trying to find the feeder zones for that. There's a lot of gold in the system, but it's really where has it come from. We've just completed a drill program there. In fact, I'm off to New Zealand as soon as we finish here in Sydney, and to go and have a look at that core. We haven't got any assays of significance yet, but quite an amazing project in a very doable part of the planet.
And now back to Mount Isa, up the top of Queensland there. What are you looking for there, and how's that project expanding?
Copper, gold, cobalt was always our lead project. We've got 900 square k's of ground up there, so very big land holding directly east and south of Mount Isa. The story I tell about that I keep telling, but it reminds me of Kalgoorlie in the very early 80s, that there's lines of workings all over the place and just absolutely no drilling. We'd have less than 40 drill holes over the whole project area. So it really is an unloved part of the country. The majors had it for many, many years. Exploration for copper wasn't of great interest, but you're seeing more news come out of Mount Isa now a week than what you are a year previously. So it's a very, very exciting area and just incredibly underexplored, given that it's one of the world's great copper provinces and you've got multiple means of processing just nearby.
You sound really busy, Ron. What sort of announcement, a pipeline is on the horizon?
Well, coming out will be the results from Owakiri in New Zealand, met test work from the rare earths, and ongoing work from Mount Isa, so geochemistry. We hope to be drilling there, in the near term. Prioritising targets up there is our single biggest problem. We would have at least 40 different areas where we could be exploring on, and prioritising which ones to focus on is where we are at the moment. So we've got a big team up there, 3 geos and 6 field assistants. Doing exactly that. So a pretty good news flow coming up. We'll be RC drilling as soon as we get heritage permission at Air on the lithium, the PGEs and the nickel there, and test work from the rare earths coming through. So a fair bit happening at the moment.
And just to finish up, is ultimately the plan to JV with some of these projects or spin them out?
Too early to say, but some of them probably should have a life of their own if they're going that way. We went into this with a few commodities. There's 2 ways to do it. You can focus on one, or you can have a spread. The spreads work very well for us at the moment, but there comes a time certainly for a junior, of they might need a lot more love by themselves. So, but we'll see how that goes. It's a decision that we're not at that point yet.
Ron Heeks, thanks for your time.
Thanks very much.